I want to talk about political correctness. I've heard this term countless times, especially in comedy stand-up routines like the late George Carlin. But where does this term come from? And most importantly, what exactly does it mean? In the early to mid-20th century, the phrase referred to a strict adherence to a range of ideological orthodoxies within politics. So in 1934, the New York Times reported that Nazi Germany was granting reporting permits only to pure Aryans whose opinions are politically correct. When Marxist-Leninist movements gained political power, the phrase was used here again. Here, politically correct was relative to whatever the Communist Party considered correct or not, with debates taking place between American socialists and American communists, when one group would accuse the other of being dogmatic. To quote Herbert Kohl, the term politically correct was used disparagingly, to refer to someone whose loyalty to the CP line overrode compassion and led to bad politics. It was used by socialists against communists, and it was meant to separate out socialists who believed in egalitarian moral ideas from dogmatic communists who would advocate and defend party positions regardless of their moral substance. In the 70s and 80s, the left used the term as self-satire. To quote Deborah Schultz, throughout the 1970s and 1980s, the new left, feminists, and progressives used their term politically correct ironically as a guard against their own orthodoxy and social change efforts. So this term has bounced around, but the general meaning kind of maintains itself. As a term used to describe language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society, or adherence to political orthodoxy. What's interesting about this is how, in relation to the term's historical usage, it's incredibly relative. For example, enforcing racial segregation was politically correct, but now racial segregation is politically incorrect. This is due to a societal change in which the common attitudes towards the policy changed, and in doing so, the institutions were forced to change with those attitudes. Of course, this took an incredible amount of force to push those in authority to change those laws. As with any political change, it's through either rigorous and powerful activism that puts pressures on those at the top, or political change within those government institutions, like in the cases of a coup or, say, a shift in power towards a new regime. Which brings me to my next example, the Nazis. I know, I already did a 50-minute video on fascism, link here below, but bear with me. In Nazi Germany, it was politically incorrect to criticize the regimes because they had the institutional power and force to make such criticisms met with harsh penalties. However, in modern-day Germany, mocking the Nazis is absolutely fine, but defending them is now politically incorrect. The overall point I'm trying to say is that political correctness is relative to whatever sensibilities and offenses to those in power, as well as broader society that is often influenced by that power. Complaining about political correctness is seen from an anti-SJW point of view contemporarily, which is incredibly inane, but it doesn't have to be. Capitalism is politically correct. Mass incarceration is too. Both of these things hold tremendous amounts of power and are related. You see, I'm a simple being. I hate political correctness when it's politically correct to exploit people, when it's politically correct to allow slavery to persist, be it in a prison uniform or a worker's uniform. I hate political correctness when it goes against my views. Like I said, this is relative. But notice my examples compared to others. Other people see socialism as politically correct, but is it? I don't see the workers owning the means of production, and yes, the social climate may be changing in the United States, with more people having favorable opinions about it, but capitalism is still rampant and greatly enforced. Don't let right-wingers give you the impression that they have the monopoly on hating political correctness, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who often have the power to enforce their own political correctness on others.
Before they think I really look like this!